Welcome back, everyone. Coming back with you with another video from taking things to McKay's. I went to Knoxville. Now this is the one that I really want to rant on. If you've watched any of our other videos recently, I was told by the Chattanooga manager at McKay's that I could no longer bring records. I could bring anything else. I could bring anything pop culture, Funko Pops. I mean, I brought him musical instruments. I brought him other pop culture type things, anything music related, Funko Pops, anything, anything that they'll take, toys, whatever. But the records, they don't want me to stay there. You can take 3 boxes of recorded material, or three totes of recorded material, and wait. It takes about 45 minutes to an hour, and be able to pick them up. Now I can drop them off. I can do the red buckets. I can drop them off and come back anytime, next 24 hours or within 7 days, and I can get the credit. The problem is between the white bins, where you can do up to 3 at a time, and the red bins where you can do 4 at a time for record equipment, is you don't get your rejects back with the red buckets, where you can't wait for them. And I think that's kind of fishy that they'll still take my records. They just don't want to give me back my rejects, which all of us that take anything there, if you're wheeling and dealing marketplace or going to estate sales, garage sales like I do, you had to pay for those up front. So if they get to keep your rejects, which means things they're not going to pay you for, that means they're getting them for free. So I mean, it's not that they told me I couldn't come there and trade anymore. It's they told me that I couldn't trade records and get my rejects back and collect my trade that day. And I don't even sell my records. I mean, I do in a sense that I get store credit, but I get no cash. They give you the option of cash or store credit. I always take store credit because I'm going to get that back. But anyways, on my venting, the reason I say that, this particular video is going to be that I went up to Knoxville with all of the records that the last time I went to the one here, they claimed were all going to be rejected, and that they did not want me to stay and wait for anything to be done. So I took those 3 bins of records to Knoxville. Knoxville had no problem processing my records. Matter of fact, I took them 235 records. They took 81 of them. So like I said, and I'll show you the store credit, but I took 235, or in the total 3 bins. Now I got records here that are my rejects, just because I'm back at the house now. It's easier to do it in the driveway than that loud parking lot that they have. But of 235, they took 81, so they paid me $48.59 for those 81 records. So that's an average of 60 cents a record. So I don't mind that. Like I tell everybody, I wheel and deal on marketplace. I wheel and deal on estate sales, garage sales, things like that. When I buy bulk. One of my previous videos, if you want to go and look, I went and bought a little over 500 records, 515 records. I only paid $50 for that. And so far at the McKay's in Knoxville, go look at my previous video, I took them 244 of the 515, and they took 84 of those records, and I got over $120. I got $120.59 from that transaction. I only paid $50, and I've almost tripled my money on half of the records. So but if anybody's dealt with the Chattanooga, maybe I don't know, I honestly find some of their selection a little better than Knoxville, and their prices are actually cheaper. I find a lot more the $295 to $395 records, definitely stuff that's under $595 there, compared to the one in Knoxville. It's a lot more expensive. Usually they're $795 and up for their records. But Knoxville, when Knoxville buys from me, they pay more. They physically do. I may be getting 27 cents average a record, 33 cents average a record, which is still fine because I'm only paying about 10 cents a record. So I don't mind that. And of course, where I live, it's a couple hours away from between the Chattanooga one to the Knoxville. So the gas back and forth and the time I have to spend in my day, you know, even though I'm doubling and tripling my money store credit wise, you know, it's got to make sense. But you know, I've got to deal with them too. So if anybody's got any luck with either one, the Knoxville or the Chattanooga, I haven't been to the Nashville one yet, or the ones that are in the Carolinas. So let me know how you like the Nashville. But let me show you what I got besides the trade-ins. They took the 81, like I say, they paid me $48.59, 60 cents average a record. So here I've got one of the Ray Parker Jr.'s radios. I got a single for Debbie Gibson. My wife's into Debbie Gibson, all the kind of girl stuff. Taylor Dane and Jody Watley and Whitney Houston and all those folks my wife likes. More John Parr. This is from his second album. Paul Henry. Now he's a pretty interesting guy. I've got a couple of his stuff. Paul Henry and the Paul Henry Band, but he was also in the band, the rock kind of country band Outlaw. And then if you're familiar with the early 90s Black Hawk band, Goodbye Says It All and stuff like that. So Henry Paul was lead singer of Black Hawk, besides also singing in the 70s and early 80s Outlaw band. The Tony Orlando and Dawn album. This has got a lot of the famous songs on there. Knocked 3 Times, the Canada. It's also got Up on the Roof. It's also got just several things that Knocked 3 Times and stuff like that. So if anybody's familiar with Tony Orlando. More obscure 70s and early 80s rock bands, of course, Captain and Tennille. This is like the third album from the Romantics. And these not everything here is the 95 cents. So what I did is I started off at the clearance, so the bargain bin at 95 cents, and I worked my way to the new arrivals. So those are going to be a little higher. This one is actually the Best of Exile. Of course, Kiss Me All Over is probably their biggest one, and it's on here, but I got theirs. Living in Oz by Rick Springfield. So I did spend a little more than the 95 cents. Dwight Tilley, he's since passed away, but he was going to be real big in the early 80s. He just didn't go anywhere, but he was promised to be the next big thing. Point Blank, another late 70s, early 80s rock band. Humble Pie. Here's the Outlaw. Like I say, that's also the other gentleman earlier that, like I say, was in Black Hawk and stuff like that. So Climax, they were big in the 80s. This is the one that's got as far as I Miss You and Meeting in the Ladies Room and stuff like that. Johnny Miles, another obscure kind of rock and rock punk. And then Michael Stanley Band, another rock band from the early 80s. So if anybody's got any of these, let me know. Like I say, I try and get obscure stuff. I have a lot of popular things too, but I try and look and see what I don't normally have. And so I do a lot of research on YouTube, and I Google their names and things like that, and try and find out what these bands had, or if they got some history, see if they're pretty cool, just to give them a try for, normally less than $5, but most things I'm getting $2.95 and under. But let me also know about your experience with Chattanooga McKay's or the Knoxville McKay's. If you've been to both of them and you're here kind of in central Tennessee, let me know if you prefer one over the other. Price wise and selection, I prefer Chattanooga, but as far as just dealing with people and being more personable, I like the Knoxville. So please like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.